Hello everybody and welcome to Discovering in Color. I am the Gadget Man and today we're going to talk about tent camping versus hammock camping. Okay, welcome to Discovering in Color. Once again, the Gadget Man here, and we're going to talk about tent camping versus hammock camping. Not necessarily which one is better, but we will give some pros and cons between the two, and you can make up your own mind of which one that you think you want to do. So, once again, Discovering in Color, the channel that's here designed to help you enjoy the outdoors, learn some things about the outdoors, get out here and have a good old time. Just like today, it's a beautiful day. If you like the channel, please hit that like button. Please share the channel with somebody and subscribe so that way you don't miss new videos, which come out about pretty much every Saturday. Let's get to the very first thing we're going to talk about here. Since we're here, we're going to talk about tent camping. This right here behind me is my favorite tent, my favorite single person tent that I like to carry, and it's made by 6 Moons Designs, and it's the Lunar Solo. Very nice tent, great for backpacking, good for car camping too. It's very light, it fits one person. The thing I like about it the most is in the back of this tent, and I'll show you a picture here up in the corner, it has a little jut out on the back which gives you a little bit of extra space so that you can bring your gear in with you. You can bring your backpack in, you can set it inside, and you don't have to worry about bugs or rain or anything getting on top of that. Now let's talk about the great things about a tent, the things that I really like about a tent. First off is that you have a nice little screen here to keep out the bugs. And I'm not a bug guy. I don't like to sleep in bugs. I've had enough of that in my life, and I'm not going to do that anymore. It also has a lot of room here in the front where if it is raining outside or something like that, you can actually do things here in the vestibule. You could boil water in the vestibule. You could cook in the vestibule. I'm not a fan of cooking right here in my tent, especially if I'm going to be here for an extended period of time. I might do it in the morning when I'm preparing to leave, but if I'm going to be there that night, I don't cook in the vestibule of my tent because all it takes is a little bit of food particles to get down there, and animals are attracted by that. And it can be any kind of animal, be it starting from a small chipmunk to a raccoon, to a possum, to bigger creatures that you don't want coming near your site, things like bears and stuff like that. You don't want them here. Another thing I like about this tent here is the ease of setup. This Lunar Solo design, it uses a single pole setup, and you can either purchase the carbon fiber pole from 6 Moon Designs, or you can dual purpose your trekking poles right here and use this, like this, as another setup for your pole. All you got to do is extend it out the proper amount. You can adjust it, which you can't do with the pole that you buy from 6 Moon Designs, and it gives you a lot of space, or it gives you a nice taut pitch. Another thing is, on the inside here, I can lay out a sleeping pad. And on my sleeping pad, I can put my sleeping bag on top of it, and I've got a lot of room to really kind of stretch out and be comfortable. Now, it can get a little stuffy in the summertime when it gets really hot, especially these single wall tents, because they will tend to condensate on the inside, whether it's, moist outside. Now, if you go out west where it's dry, you won't get so much condensation. But if you hike back east, like on the Appalachian Trail, you will have condensation on the inside. Some of the disadvantages of a tent. Well, first off, you have to find a nice level place to put your tent down. And sometimes that can be kind of hard to do it. So you've got to find a nice even surface. The other disadvantage you have to a tent is that you need to find a smooth surface, because you can find a level surface, but it may not necessarily be so smooth. The other thing is that you're actually on the ground. So if it does rain outside or it's snowing outside, well, guess what? You're gonna be on top of that. So you need to make sure you have a good insulator underneath of you. You also want to put down a pad underneath it, not necessarily to keep you dry, because these floors, like in this one here, this is the bathtub floor. But what'll happen is that if you don't put down a pad, there could be rocks and sticks and things like that you might necessarily see that can possibly damage the bottom of your pad of your tent, or it could poke through and it could actually damage your sleeping pad, which you don't want to put a hole in your sleeping pad. Had that last time, not a good thing to have. Another pro to having a tent is that in the wintertime when it's cold outside, you can close this up, and believe it or not, it will be a few degrees warmer inside of your tent than what it will be outside. And another pro is privacy. You can have some privacy when you close up this rainfly. You can close it up, you can change clothes, you can be inside and read a book, you can do whatever you want to do, and you have a little bit of privacy, which I'll show you the hammock, you don't always have. Those are the really good pros and the cons for having a tent. And now we're going to move on to a hammock and talk about the differences there. Hi, this is my hammock setup right here. And what I'm using here is the Kammock Mantis, and it's called a tent hammock. And the reason it's called a tent hammock is really because it has a built-in bug netting right here to keep the bugs out. And like I said before, I'm not really a big bug fan. So that's why I like camping in the wintertime and not necessarily the summertime. But the first advantage of having a hammock over a tent is comfort. Hands down, a hammock is the most comfortable sleep you'll ever have in the outdoors, be it in the summertime or in the wintertime. You want to sleep in a hammock because if you want the best sleep, it's just the way to get it. It's comfortable, there's nothing underneath of it, and it is fantastic. Now, when it comes to weather protection, you have a hammock over here, up top here, which this one's actually in porch mode. I'm actually using my trekking poles to lift up the tarp so that you have coverage. Inside of here, this is nice because it has what we call on top here a ridge line. And on this little ridge line right here, you can actually hang things like a light or any type of a, we'll put little pockets on here, those type of things, so that while you're laying inside, you can actually be comfortable. Now, with a hammock, one disadvantage to a hammock it has is that you, for the majority of times of the year, with the exception of now where it's very, very warm, you'll want to put something underneath here to keep you from getting cold. An underquilt or a blanket or something like that. And you want to put it, I put mine on the outside of the hammock because what happens is through conduction, wind will come underneath here and it will suck the heat right out of you. They call it cold butt syndrome or CBS. You don't want that to happen to you because it's probably going to happen about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and then you sleep cold the rest of the night and you wake up tired. The other advantage to a hammock is weight. A lot of hammock setups can be lighter than a tent. Now, depending on what type of tent you get, but for the most part, you're gonna have a lighter setup. The other advantage you have here is that the terrain below you doesn't really matter. I've seen these things set up over rocks and over streams, all kind of different places. So your terrain below doesn't matter. What you do have to have are 2 good solid anchor points on the ends to hang up your tarp on. So if you are in an open area, okay, you're out on some of these western trails that don't have trees, a hammock is not a good idea. But if you're someplace where there's lots of trees, by all means, bring your hammock, set your hammock up. If it rains outside, you've got good coverage. But one thing you don't have is you don't have privacy with a hammock. As you can see, this is wide open. And if you're around a bunch of other campers, you can bring down the canopy some, but the ends are going to be open. So unless you get a canopy that actually has doors on the ends, privacy is not something that you're going to have a lot of inside of a hammock. All right, so this right here is my hammock setup. So if I have a choice between the two, which one would I pick? Would I pick a hammock or would I pick a tent? Well, to tell you the truth, it all depends on where I'm going. If I'm going to be camping someplace where there are no trees, or I'm going to be camping someplace where it's very cold, because a hammock does not retain any heat in the morning, okay? So those December, January campouts, I probably will not bring a hammock. Even though I may have a good underquilt or those type of things, I probably won't camp in a hammock. So it really depends on the situation, all right? If I'm going to be camping in the woods and I want to save a little bit of weight, then I'll probably bring this hammock here, because the advantage of a hammock is I can camp anywhere. I don't necessarily need an established campsite. So long as I have my hammock strapped so I don't damage trees, a hammock can be the way to go. When would I carry a tent? Well, if I want to be a little bit warmer in the wintertime, I want to have some privacy. I want to have an ease of setup, because setting up a tent can sometimes be a little bit easier than setting up a hammock here, because with a tent, you usually have about 1 piece you have to set up, especially in my single wall tent. Here, I've got 2 pieces. I've got the tarp and I've got the hammock that I need to set up. So that right there pretty much explains my tent and my hammock setup. All right, so that is this week's video of tent versus hammock. So hey, drop a line in the comments. Let me know which one you prefer or which one you use, those type of things. Let me know why you like it. And then, probably I'll give you some answers of, hey, I really like that, or hey, have you ever thought about this? So that's what this channel is all about, having a little fun in the outdoors. So thank you for watching this week. Please subscribe. Please share this video with others who may not be getting this channel. That way we can all get a lot more information and have a lot more fun in the outdoors. So the Gadget Man here, Discovering in Color. I'm out, and I'll send you another video next week. Take care.